What's up YouTube? Ian Sandusky back here again for Let's Machine. Today on Shop Talk we're going to be talking about why vendors are just as important as customers. Now, your vendor network is going to be just as important for you as your customer network once you hit to a certain point. If you're first starting out, obviously it's very important to develop a network of suppliers, but at the beginning you just need to get material in-house, you need to get tools in-house, whatever it may be. As you get bigger and develop more and more relationships, that's when your vendor network is going to become very important. So when you're thinking about vendors, I usually try to think of three things, and three things I look for in order to make sure I have a very good vendor. So number one is I want excellent customer service. This is the most important thing to me, and it should be to you as well. Doesn't matter whether this is a tooling supplier, doesn't matter whether this is a material supplier, their customer service is number one to me. Customer service is not just if I call with a problem that I can speak to somebody. A big thing with a lot of, especially like metal suppliers, material suppliers, is responsiveness. A lot of times I'll be quoting out jobs that I don't necessarily have yet, but I want to be able to get material costs fairly quickly in order to be reactive to my customer. With today material costs changing daily almost when it comes to material pricing and all that stuff, I need to be able to get a price back pretty quickly, if not over the phone, in order to get a price to my customer. Certain companies are very good at this, certain companies are very bad at this. The other thing I'll say is certain sales reps at companies are very good at this, certain sales reps at companies are very bad at this. For instance, ThyssenKrupp. I used to really loathe dealing with ThyssenKrupp, even though they're one of the biggest suppliers out there with some of the best pricing. I used to always call, it used to take me forever to get my sales rep to get back to me. It was terrible in my opinion. Lo and behold, I eventually kind of called some different numbers there, got a different sales rep than the one I had been using previously, and it's like night and day. I can call my new guy and instantly I'll get a price. If I need help on, hey, listen, I don't know what to use for this, he'll walk me through it. It's excellent. So number one for me is always customer service. That's going to be the make or break before anything else when it comes to dealing with a supplier. So number two for me is having your best interests at heart. This is different than customer service. Your supplier has to have your best interests at heart. If your supplier is one of these companies that literally is just looking to make as much money off you as possible, you're gonna have a bad time no matter what you do. For instance, I talked about Dave from Valcar previously. One of the reasons I really like Dave, besides all the other reasons I said, is that he doesn't try to sell me things I don't need. If I need a 4-flute M-mill carbide that's coated, he's gonna give me a good 4-flute M-mill that's coated, that's gonna work for what I'm doing. He's not trying to constantly upsell me to stuff I just don't need for the application to make himself more money. If I say, listen, I need a cheap 24-inch digital caliper, he's gonna give me a cheap 24-inch digital caliper. He's not trying to sell me on a brand new Mitutoyo. He knows I just need one for a few $100 in order to get this job going, or whatever it may be. Same thing works with a lot of material suppliers, same thing works with a lot of subcontractors. Listen, vendors can be subcontractors too. Developing a relationship with them to make sure that if I'm subbing out work to them, A, I'm gonna get good parts back, B, they're not gouging me on price, and C, that they know I'm gonna treat them well. But having your best interests at heart is really important. It is hard to find suppliers that do this. They exist. That's kind of where you really have to dig through and find suppliers that are gonna work for you that way, or vendors that are gonna work for you that way. Third is pricing. This is kind of the last thing that's really important to me. I will pay more for materials, I'll pay more for subcontracting, I'll pay more for whatever it may be, if the first two things are really good, if the customer service is excellent, and I feel like they have my best interest at heart. Pricing is kind of secondary or tertiary to all of that. Pricing is important though. One thing you will find is certain companies, like I tried to use I like to support local as much as I can, so I tried to use a local material supplier for aluminum and steel recently. They had pretty good service, they had pretty good responsiveness, and it seemed like they had pretty good interest at heart. Problem was the pricing for whatever reason was at least double of what I was paying otherwise. Pricing is a tertiary concern, but it's still a concern. I would say, make sure you're always staying on top of what conventional pricing is for certain things. You are gonna pay more for good service typically. Sometimes you get really lucky and you'll get really good pricing, really good service, having your best interest at heart, you just win. Keep that supplier for as long as you can. But it does often happen that prices go up, sometimes things change, so make sure you always stay on top. Get things quoted multiple places every time you do it if you have to. But at the same time, develop some loyalty. If you find good suppliers that are treating you well, stick with them. Don't drop them over a 10% price increase if you can absorb it and there's a reason for it. Okay. I hope this has been helpful, guys. As always, if you want to see more videos, make sure you like and subscribe below. Thank you very much for watching, guys. You take care.